Hi, this is North County PC Solutions, and today we're going to be showing you how to get the junkware out of your brand new computer. One of the misconceptions about having a brand new computer is that you think the system is clean and that you don't have any junkware that needs to be removed. On this particular machine, this is the Acer Aspire 1 model number 772. We recently did a review on this little laptop and gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's really a great little machine. Having said that, it still does have a lot of junkware on it. On this side of the screen, on the left here, I've went ahead and left everything that came pre-installed with this machine. On this side, I put a folder of technician software and the executable file to CCleaner, which we're going to be installing that in a little while. First off, let's take a look at the way Microsoft wants you to install and uninstall programs, because if you don't have CCleaner, you're going to have to go through your regular operating system to do this. Okay, so we're going to start with the flag looking thing, the Microsoft symbol, also called Start. You can see there at the bottom left corner of the screen. And then from there, you're going to go to the control panel. And there's a different type of view you can go to too. If you don't like this configuration, you can go to View Large Icons, if that makes it easier for you. I tend to like this way myself. It's a little easier to see where everything is at. You'll notice that we're running a Windows 7 computer. What used to be called Add and Remove software is now called Programs and Features, but it's essentially the same function. So what we've done so far is we've gone to the Start from here, hit the Control panel, and then we've gone to Programs and Features. You can see a list of programs here. These are all things that are installed in your machine. All this, before you even do anything with your machine, you first turn it on. All this stuff is in there. And that's part of the problem with a machine when you first get it. A lot of this stuff is unnecessary. However, if you're ever not sure about adding or removing software, it's better to err on the side of not uninstalling it and talking to a technician, because you could inadvertently damage your operating system. And generally speaking, that is repairable, but it's just something to take into consideration. Okay, now that I've showed you the Windows way to access your software to add and remove it, let's close that out. Let's talk about a little bit easier way to do this. It's a program called CCleaner. 2 C's, CCleaner, all in one word, that I've already downloaded. Not right now. Install it. It's going to ask if you want to install it. Click yes. English. You're at the install wizard. You're going to hit next. By the way, yeah, it's just the regular install. And a lot of software, you may or may not want to read this whole licensing agreement thing, but I'm pretty familiar with CCleaner, so I'm just going to go down and click I agree. Now when you're installing any kind of new software, here's something that you want to be kind of careful of. We do want a desktop shortcut. We don't want this in the startup options, because you don't want this just running every time you turn your computer. We want to be able to just turn this on when we need it and then turn it back off. If you put something in your start menu, that means that it's automatically going to be starting and running in the background of your machine even while you're not using it. This is more like junkware. This is stuff that runs when you don't need it to, and it will actually hog up your memory and slow down your machine. on this here, CCleaner to your recycle bin. That's a good thing. What that does is when you run CCleaner, it will clean out your recycle bin. And you can even put an option whenever you click on your recycle bin that it'll work. Automatically check for updates. I don't really do that. You can, but it'll usually want you to download and install the newest version of CCleaner. For this particular program, you may or may not want to update it. It's pretty cut and dry what it does in actuality. You can update it by hand on your own once in a while, if you choose no on that. Next. Okay, now here's something to be aware of. In a lot of programs that you will install, whether they're store-bought programs or whether you downloaded them for free on the internet, they will want you to add extra junk to your machine. Right here it's asking me, do I want to install a Google toolbar along with CCleaner? And you can see right here, this little bar here is going to bloat my internet browser. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to uncheck that. I don't want to install the Google toolbar. Sorry, Google. Love you, but you got to go. Okay, so now it's installing. As well as rating this computer, we've also done a separate tutorial on CCleaner as well that goes a little more in depth than we will today. We don't need to review the release notes on this, so no. But we will go ahead and run CCleaner right now. Actually, let's not. Let's tell it no just yet. Why? You'll notice that since we told it yes, put a desktop icon on there, there's an icon here. I'm going to move this over to this side of the screen so we can keep a better eye on it for learning purposes. Let's go ahead and just run it from here. Intelligently scan for cookies. Tell it yes. Okay, so the only thing we've really done is we've got online long enough to just connect to a router. We've given it a WEP code connected to a router. Let's see if we already have cookies and stuff and temp files in this computer. Can you believe that? There's already that much junk in this system, and we have literally just turned it on, other than installing the CCleaner itself and my little technician folder there. So we already need to do a basic junkware cleanup, just your temp files and your cookies and whatnot. So let's start there, and we're going to reanalyze. Okay, looks like for now we're good to go with that. Let's go to Tools now. This is where it gets interesting. Now this is where, as a technician or a consumer, you have to make some personal choices on what kind of software you do and don't want for your computer. I like to keep my machines pretty lean, and if it's not actually a driver or part of the operating system, I will generally speaking remove it because I want to select what software is on my machine. You can see here that this is Acer Crystal iCam, so this is probably the driver for your web camera. And this is your power management. You don't really need that because Windows comes with its own power management system. So for me, I like to left click on that and run the uninstaller on it. asking if I want to restart the computer after. I'm going to hit no for now. Let's install a couple more things first. Uninstall, I'm sorry. Recovery Manager. I wouldn't recommend people at home to uninstall your Recovery Manager. You may need that, but when I'm done cleaning the system, on this particular one, I'm going to use the program called Make Rim Reflect, and I'm going to do a complete image of this entire hard drive. But for my purposes, I will uninstall it. But I don't recommend consumers to do so unless they're very familiar with backing up their system. Yes. And you can see that on some of these programs, just the uninstall file is a very bloated program. So if you could just imagine what this is doing in the background of your machine, it's actually almost hideous. Okay, mine. Let's do something real quick here. Okay, those are still visible. They probably won't disappear until I actually restart the machine. Acer Games. That's probably junk that's going to want you to go somewhere and buy a bunch of more junkware. So I'm going to run the installer on that as well. Now these may or may not be free games, but generally speaking, I like to choose what I install on my machine, and I can always go to cnet.com or download.com and download just about anything nice that I like, whether it be utilities, games, or whatever the case may be. So it's got to go. In this particular instance, I clicked on 20 games at one time. It said just to uninstall all of them. So it's taking quite a while. One of the other things about uninstalling this junk from your machine is that not only can it bloat the memory of your RAM in your machine itself, but it can also hog up a little bit of space on your hard drive. When your hard drive gets to a certain level, if you get to say 80-85% full, Windows does not like that, and that can actually create a lot of problems, slow down your computer, and create other problems as well. So it's a good idea not to let your hard drive get more than 75-80% full. Things like paging files and other systems in Windows need to use that extra space. And for backup reasons, if you're copying and backing up, you need spare space on your hard drive to do that. Just because as it's transferring, it'll use that spare space and then remove it when it's done. A good alternative is to anything important to you, such as music, family photos, data, letters. If it's really valuable to you, have somebody install a second internal hard drive in your computer, or even better yet, just buy an external hard drive for about $100 that just hooks into your machine with a simple USB cable. about this is that the hard drive with you on the go without having to take your entire computer with you. And the other neat thing about it is if your computer does have a problem and it won't start, if it dies on your whatever the case may be, you can take that external hard drive and you can look at your family photos and other stuff right off another computer. So it's always a really good idea to have an external hard drive. I recommend it for just about anybody. And a later operating system such as Windows 7, you can actually encrypt that drive if you know how. So that if somebody else gets a hold of that hard drive, they can't read or see your personal information. Okay, so the games are finally uninstalled on this machine. For the sake of time, there's a lot more things to uninstall. Let's go over some things here. I'm going to delete the Acer registration screensaver. I will leave the VCM for now. I'm going to remove the updater. Don't really need that. App suggester has to go. This one here that says Atheros Communications Gigabyte Ethernet, that's going to be a driver for your Ethernet. ATI is usually a graphics card, so we're not going to mess with that. AVS is the software I installed to make this video, so I'm not going to mess with that. Bing has to go. eBay has to go. Evernote's going to go. These foos things will go. The identity card will not go because that's a secondary security thing if you say you wanted to program some kind of a camera card or memory device to be a secondary login password. The launch manager will probably go. McAfee will go. I'm not going to mess with anything Microsoft for now. Let's see how it does. WinLocker, that might be good to keep. News Expresso, that's got to go. Nook for PC's got to go. Norton, and this is just my opinion, Norton and McAfee are both absolute garbage. Bloated software, overpriced, overhyped, and underdeveloped. I will remove those. This is a card reader, you don't want to remove that. Skype, not sure if we're going to need it or not. I'm going to remove it. I even put a piece of tape over my webcam on the top of my laptops. I only use it when I want to use it. I installed SM Reader to make this video. The Welcome Center is going to go. And Live Essentials is actually not really needed, even though it's Windows. I'm going to remove that as well. For the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and pause for now, and I'm going to remove the rest of the stuff, then restart the machine. But I think you get the idea. We clicked on Tools, and then we went to the Uninstall, and we went down this line of programs and made a decision which ones we're going to get rid of. And if you ever have any questions about that, you can go to our blog at NCPS News, or you can also go to Things Nerds Do at youtube.com. Hi, this is the second part of the video on how to clean the junkware out of your computer, and before I go on to the next task, let's reiterate a little bit on that first part of the video. The first thing we did was we installed CCleaner, we did that, it created this shortcut on the desktop, the icon here. We really don't need this anymore. It's already been installed. So I'm going to remove this executable off the desktop just to get it out of our way. It's still running in Windows. It's just we don't need the executable file on the desktop where we have to look at it. And then the first thing we did was we came over here and we ran an analysis, and there's probably already a little bit of junk again. Let's do another analysis. It accumulates very rapidly. So there you go. That was the first step, if you remember from the beginning of this video. And you can do the Windows and your other apps as well. You'll notice that we skipped the registry for now, and then we went to Tools. And then what we did here was we just, for example, left-clicked on one, and then we hit uninstall. Now, we're not going to do that with something from... Actually, that's Microsoft Office. And that's going to be a limited version, a trial version. It's only good for X amount of days, so I take that back. We actually will uninstall that, and we'll talk about why later. It's my personal preference to use different software. I'm not really a fan of paying $300 for an Office suite or whatever it costs these days. Actually, I have no idea what the pricing on it is, but generally speaking, it's very overpriced. Okay, so you can see already how lean our system is. We have the webcam drivers, some Adobe stuff, which generally speaking, you need to keep the Adobe readers and whatnot. And you have some drivers for your computer. These AVS and the SM Recorder are programs that we're using to make this video right now, so we're not going to remove those yet. Okay, now that we've done cleaned up the temp files and the cookies, we've gone to Tools, and we've removed everything that was running in the startup that we didn't want. In other words, these things were all running as soon as we turned on the computers, so we removed a bunch of that junk from here. Now the next step, you can't really do with CCleaner. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Start, and we're going to, after Start, we're going to click on Computer, or if you're using Windows XP, this is called My Computer, but Computer in Windows 7 is essentially the same thing. We're going to go to your hard drive, which is your C drive, and then we're going to go to a couple of these program file sections. Now what's happened is some of the stuff that we've uninstalled from the start will still be in here. I don't necessarily want to remove Acer completely, that folder, because there might be something essential in it. Looks like the rest of the stuff is probably pretty much needed. Now let's go to another program files. This says x86, meaning these are 32-bit files. Again, you might want to keep some of the Acer software. Adobe is going to be a lot of your media stuff for the internet and PDF readers and whatnot. AMD is probably going to be for the microprocessor on this computer. ATI is the type of graphics card that's integrated into this processor, so you don't want to remove that. AVS is our video software. Barnes & Noble, this is going to be junkware. So let's go ahead and remove that. I would have to take a better look at these since there's looks like there's the app locker and stuff in there. I'd be real leery of removing those just yet. And you don't want to remove your Explorer. That's your internet browser. Notice there's two kinds of Explorer as well. There's a Windows Explorer, which explores folders, as this is doing here. However, Internet Explorer, instead of Windows Explorer, browses the internet instead of browsing your machine. Let's leave the Microsoft stuff alone. Realtek, again, that's going to be a driver for hardware. This is one of the programs we're using to create this video. Okay, the rest of this is Microsoft here, so let's back up one. Boom. Users, this is your user accounts. Okay, this is for a lady named Gina, and this is a regular public folder, and you could create more of these as well, and we'll do a video on that too. Let's take a look at one more thing first. You don't really want to mess with performance log. Leave that for technicians. But you never want to delete performance logs, program files, or any other variation of program files. And you don't want to erase users, or you may not be able to get back into your machine. Let's go to Windows. Make sure it's all really Windows. Okay. And in my mind, it all looks pretty kosher. So we're going to go ahead and leave that alone. Okay, so now let's go back to CCleaner. So we've uninstalled all the junkware. We've made sure we've cleaned out some of the folders by clicking on Start, Computer. We went to your hard drive, which is the C. It's almost always going to be your C colon drive. And then we went into program files and these other program files, and we removed folders that we didn't want. And again, you got to be pretty careful doing that. You don't want to remove something important. Now that we've done that, now you'll notice that we've already done the cleaning and we've already done the tools. Now is when we're going to go to the registry, because all those files that we've removed and those programs that we've deleted are going to have effects on the registry. It's going to bloat the registry. So we're going to scan that, and you'll see a lot of missing shared DLLs. Now, DLL simply means direct library link. So when you remove programs, sometimes there's software library links that are still in your system that you do not need anymore. And you can see there's a lot. Fix. And if you're not sure what you're doing, I would recommend that you do back up this registry file first, but I'm not going to. Fix all. Close. So at this point, we've done an initial cleaning. We went to tools. We took everything we thought was junk out of here, and then we went by hand into the C drive. Oops, you don't want to change the name of that. Let me just back off that for a second. Shouldn't have done that. And then we erase some folders out of here just to keep the hard drive from getting bloated. By bloat, I mean just putting junk in your machine that you don't need, whether it's in your physical memory of your computer or on your hard drive. After we deleted all that stuff, we went to the registry and we removed all of the DLL files. So now we have a clean running registry again. Okay, so now that you've done that, there's still a Netflix icon on here, and if I install Netflix on here, I will install Netflix on here, but I don't want that on here, so there. We're going to run CCleaner again after we've cleaned any icons we don't want off the desktop. Do not remove the recycle bin from your desktop unless you want to go right click, and this one actually doesn't even allow you to pin it to the taskbar anyhow, so yeah, keep your recycle bin. Now, I know we've done this a lot of times, but after you've done all the other forms of cleaning, you want to analyze one more time. And I know that's redundant, but running your temp file and cookies cleaner a few times through this process is kind of needed to get everything out of there for sure. Okay. Now you have a brand new computer that has all the junkware removed from it. And again, you need to be kind of careful doing that. If you're not sure whether or not to remove a program, you should consult a technician or somebody who's very familiar with Windows. Well, I guess that about covers it for the cleanup. Next time, what we're going to do is a post cleanup. And that's going to be installing some things that you do need and updating some other things to make sure that your computer is not only running efficiently, but also is protected as well. Okay, thank you for watching this video. This is North County PC Solutions.